What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Good to see y'all again. It's Matty, and that's Matty, M-A-T-T-Y. It's a nickname my grandfather gave me when I was growing up, and it kind of got resurrected when I got hired in the fire service. I'm trying to block that sun glare. Oh, by the way, too, I did get a couple of those magnetic lenses for this, so when I film in the bright sunshine like this, I can clip them on, so as soon as they get here, I know that'll make a big difference. But for right now, I got to kind of use my big noggin to block that sun. But I'm here in front of the World of Disney, or I'm actually on the corner of the World of Disney here at Disney Springs. Well, why am I here? Because I got a project today. This is more of a, I'm going to call Disney out on the carpet project, because I'm tired of some of their shenanigans that they keep pulling. And you might be like, well, Matt, what shenanigans? Had to make a quick move here. I'm just trying to film this thing, get this intro done, and now I know why a lot of people do this in their cars and that, because it's very difficult trying to stay far away from people, not bother anybody. And a whole group of people came up. Literally, I'm in a place where hardly anybody walks at all, ever, and they stood right next to me. Not to talk or anything, just they had their own conversation going on. I'm like, listen, obviously I don't own Disney Springs here, so people can do whatever it is they want to do, but god dang, man, I'll get this done sooner or later. But literally, I'm trying to stand in this area right here. The area that nobody ever uses this corridor, ever. Since I've turned the camera on, about 30 people have walked down this corridor. Anyway, so why I decided to come out today was wanted to start my project here. Again, like I was saying, I've got to call Disney out on the carpet a little bit on this, because they are doing some things that are just kind of frustrating me a little bit. And I'll say when they do good, but I'm also and other theme parks, but I'm also not afraid to say when they're doing things that I think are just basically equate to shenanigans and basically siphoning every last dollar out of people's pockets. But then also too, I blame the consumer for giving the money, which only adds on to this problem. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about Disney's Bibbidy Bobbidi Boutique experience, which prior to 2020 was an experience that you could take your kids to. You had a family here, and they would get completely done up, both boys and girls. They'd get the full prince or princess treatment, and it was a pretty magical thing for kids, and it's like a big old makeover for kids into the prince or princess theme. Kids loved it. Parents loved it. It's kind of a rite of passage for going to Disney. It was a little expensive, but it was manageable. Well, like anything, usher in 2020. And we all know what happens there. So 2020 comes along about 5 years ago. They closed everything down, as we all know. When they reopened, obviously, those did not reopen for a long time. And then Disney all of a sudden says, oh, we're going to reopen one location out of 3. A lot of people might not know that, because a lot of people coming here now are a lot of first-timers. There's 3 Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique locations, but only one is operational. And the only thing I can think about as to why they did that is it keeps the demand insanely high. It keeps a crunch on the demand, because the one location they have open is the smallest location. And because of that increased demand, less availability, it allows them to charge an insane amount more for an experience that was relatively cheaper 5 years ago. And, is this going to accomplish anything? Probably not. But it just gets some information out there to people who might not know. Because the one thing that drives me crazy is I see this on Facebook a lot. There's a Disney group out there called the Walt Disney World Tips and Tricks. And one of the biggest topics on there are parents trying to find availability for Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique for their kids. And of course, there are none. And you see these, granted, parents can overreact, and a lot of them do. This experience I equate to back before 2020, trying to get a dining reservation at the Beauty and the Beast restaurant. People just way overreacted, and they thought that if they couldn't give their kids this experience, their kids would grow up to be drug addicts and homeless, and they drop out of school and and we're downward spiral because they missed out on this one experience that their parents couldn't get. That their parents kept thinking they were failures for not getting this, which is bullshit in the first place. But anyway, this was one experience that had a lot of availability because there was a lot of locations, and Disney knew it was popular, and so they added a few locations throughout the years, which helped keep up with higher demand, and it allowed for everybody that really wanted to take part in this experience to be able to take advantage of it. And again, you usher in 2020, and guess what happens? Yeah, they close them all down, and then they only reopened one, and when they reopened it, they put in that same ridiculous, you have to make a reservation for it. Well, naturally, because it's the smallest location, and it's only open for a certain segment of hours, the availability is very low. And so naturally, these things get completely snatched up right at that 60-day mark when people are trying to book their vacations. Because if you're booking with Disney, depending on when your vacation is, if you're staying here, you can book your dining and other experiences at the 60-day mark, which I think is kind of crazy, but people do that. It's part of the planning. So one of the biggest things that people go after is this Bibbidy Bobbidi Boutique, and then dining at Cinderella's Royal Table. Those are the first two things that get sapped up almost instantaneously. Same thing with Cinderella's Royal Table. It's a very low capacity, high demand situation, so it goes very quickly. But this Bibbidi Bobbidi situation was done very much deliberately, and you can't convince me it wasn't, because there's two other locations that they're not even using. They're not even trying to use. And all it is it's Disney creating a supply and demand, an artificial supply and demand, like they've done with so many other things since 2020. It drives up the demand, drives up the cost, and people compete for it. And when they can't get it, they're pissed off because, I can't give my son or daughter this experience. And my theory is it doesn't have to be this way, because there are two other locations. One of them, being the largest location, is right here at Disney Springs. So what I thought we'd do today is I'm going to take you on a little tour, and I'm going to go show you where all of the Bibbidi Bobbidi locations are. And like I said, will this accomplish much of anything? Probably not, but at least it'll call some attention and maybe bring this attention to people that might not know this, because a lot of people competing think there's only one. A lot of people think there's only one. Well, there's more than one. And I'm going to show you, maybe at some point, if you put the pressure hard enough, if this were to, pick up some steam, go viral, whatever, maybe it might result in some change later on. Who knows? But you never know. Disney has made some changes on videos that have gone viral. Now, I know we're a small channel getting started. However, things like this can pick up traction quickly because nobody else has covered this. Not that I know of. I've tried looking through a lot of the YouTube channels and all the big creators and all that. Nobody wants to touch this one with a 10-foot pole, because if you've got a bigger channel, bigger creator, and you're on that media list, that's like your golden ticket. You speak out or do anything, your ass is out. So nobody's really talking about it. So we're going to take advantage of this. Take advantage of being a small channel, not on the media list or anything else to worry about, and just call it how it is. And I'm going to show you where all the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique locations are, and let you see that what Disney's doing on this is clearly creating an artificial supply and demand. So now that we're here at Disney Springs, we're going to head our rear ends over to the first location, and then after this, we'll get our rear ends back in the car. We'll drive to the other locations. So if you want to see where this location at Disney Springs is, I'll show you where to find it. Right here to my right is the Marketplace Co-op. That's a very popular spot here at Disney Springs. They got some really cool stuff in there. Used to be where there was a candle company that was in there. They now have their own store, Bose Candles, which is amazing. They now have their own store, so they're out of there. But there's still some really cool merch in there, really cool shirts and styles. It's also where Trendy is at the very end here of the store. So if you're looking for the Bibbidi Bobbidi location here, just follow this path around, past the Marketplace Co-op, past the Trendy here. Keep this stuff all on your right-hand side. Try not to get run over by 18 million strollers. The train will be on your left. And then you'll see the Tinker Toys up ahead for the Once Upon a Toy. And then straight ahead is Earl of Sandwich, or Earl of Sandwich. You know, shooping a sandwich. So right here is kind of right here is where you want to take your journey and head to the right. So you want to go past Once Upon a Toy, keeping that on your right hand side. Straight ahead is our first location. There's the Disney fountain here, perfect for warm weather in Florida. It's next to this building here that was really popular, again, prior to 2020. This was called the Void. This corner back in here where I'm at used to have some really cool stuff. This, again, was all victims of 2020. This was a Void, was an interactive video game experience. This was really neat. Never got a chance to do it, but everybody that did do it said it was amazing. So you can go and find some of the experiences in here on YouTube. Just Google Disney Springs, or just YouTube Disney Springs and Void. But right next to the old Void building is the location right here, and the sign is still there. It's like everything's been frozen in time. They still have the signs from 2020. Sorry, we are closed. But when you look in the windows, though, everything is still in place. The lights actually are still on inside. You can't see because it's daylight, but the lights are still on inside. The showpieces are still in the showcases up front. I mean, and there's not a lot of dust on this stuff either, so clearly people are, it's being maintained. But yeah, all the lights are still on in there. But this right here, though, is the largest location of all of them. They were able to handle a ton of appointments here. You could do appointments and you could do walk-ins. But ever since the reopening after 2020, it's just sat here vacant. And it is, like I said, it is a big building. It's this whole building here. It goes back in here. And it kind of shares some of the space with the Void. But if you go around the side here, it has another window there, and it goes all the way back that way. The reason they put this in here was because they knew that a lot of people, when they start their Disney World vacations, they stop here at Disney Springs. Well, what a perfect place to get this done. So here's location number 1. That right there is the first location of the BBB, Better Business Bureau. No, I'm sorry, Bibbidy Bobbidi Boutique. You can tell it's large, it's huge. Or Disney could accommodate a lot of appointments right there. And to not have that, that's part of one of the reasons that the demand is so high and a lot of people can't get this feature when they're on vacation. And also why Disney's charging an arm and a leg for this. So continuing with our journey, we'll head on out from Disney Springs here and we'll head to our next location and see location number 2 of the BBB Better Business Bureau Bibbidy Bobbidy Boutique.
Bergen Lincoln's right up to his rear bumper, but Bush gets the drive off of the corner into 6B.
Kyle Busch will lead him down the backstretch into turn 12. Hard left-hand corner now, getting down through the gearbox. Van Gisbergen a half a car length back. Reddick is there. Come out there through the Stadium Series just a moment ago.
They were, and they got through that apparently cleanly. Top 3 now get away with Kyle Busch up front. Challenge is on for the number 4 spot. Daniel Suarez getting the bumps rush. William Byron will go by. Here comes A.J. Allmendinger.
Here we are, Ticket Transportation Center. I'm walking today to our next location because it is just too nice to take the monorail. Especially now the walking paths are back open. I can actually walk to both of my locations that I'm heading to. The first one, we're going into one of the resorts. The second one, we're going into a park. I'm pretty sure through process of elimination and just by, seeing where this video is, probably pretty much tell which park we're going to be going into. It's always nice to get a little NASCAR in on the drive over. A big fan of listening to the races. Even bigger fan of going to the races. I like watching them on TV, but to be honest, I'd rather listen to them or be there live. When it's not quite like walking on the surface of the sun hot yet in Florida here, if you're on vacation here at the Disney World Resort, I highly recommend taking advantage of this walkway around the Magic Kingdom resorts. It is amazing. You can actually walk from the Ticket Transportation Center all the way over to the Contemporary and then all the way back. It's great. In the summertime, about 8, 9 a.m. before it gets hotter than the surface of the sun here, I usually like to take this walk just for good old morning exercise. And if I'm visiting the park, it's much easier to walk to the park than it is waiting on the monorail or ferry boat. And I get some exercise in and get some sun. So it's a win all around. And here we are, the location of the second location. Girlfriend Hotel. No, I'm sorry, Grand Floridian Resort and Spa. Gotta get spa in there, make it sound extra fancy. This is one of the originals here. Not quite an opening day hotel, but it came along a couple years later in the early 80s. This is a beautiful, beautiful resort. And it houses our next location of the Bibbidy Bobbidy Boutique. So let's go see it. So here on the ground level, what we need to do is make our way up the stairs to the second level. And once we're up here on the second level, we need to go directly across from the grand staircase. You can go left or right. We'll go to the left. Because when you go to the left, you see some of the shops, like Mickey Mouse's Mercantile. And this store here, they have this is called Basin. They have a bigger store of this at Disney Springs. Right next to Basin, here we are. Location number 2. With the same sign. But here's the second location inside of Grand Floridian, and if you look, everything is still in there. Like they have this little artificial wall or divider up here, kind of like the thing that Chevy Chase or Ty Webb put his hand through on Caddyshack when he was welcoming Lacey Underall into his house.
Well, hello. Surprise, surprise, surprise.
Hi. Busy?
No, come on in. Oop, oh, go ahead. That's nothing.
I tried calling, but they don't have a listing for Mr. Wonderful.
What spelling did you use?
But if you look over this, thing, everything's still in there. They did cover up the windows, though. These were the display windows, but also you could see inside as well. This is another location of the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique that is rather large. It's not as big as the one at Disney Springs. That's, like I said, that's the largest by far, but this one's got some size to it. But once again, sitting here closed up after the 2020 closures 5 years ago. And here is even the waiting room out by the elevators. You could relax here, kind of take a load off while you're waiting for your appointment. Or you could go inside and they have a small little waiting room in there. But it's really well done up. It's very elegant in this one. This one, obviously being in the Grand Floridian, they really went all out for this location. But you want to know why these are almost impossible to get? Well, this is why. Well, let's just take a moment from bitching and complaining and listen to some good piano music. Fun fact, this lobby was designed by the Imagineers for music. That's why it's shaped the way it is, and it's designed the way it is for specific music acoustics, which is why it was such a crying shame when they took away the Grand Floridian orchestra band, because that's really what this lobby was designed for. Piano music sounds amazing in here, but it was designed for the music of a live orchestra, which again is another thing that went away after 2020. So if y'all are staying at the Grand Floridian or come by here to visit and take a tour of the resort, listen to the beautiful music and that, you want to see the second Bibbidy Bobbidi Boutique location, stop by the second floor of the Grand Floridian, and here it is. Could you imagine though, if the one at Disney Springs with the same size, with the size that that one is, and then this one, and then the third one, which we're going to see, were all up and operating at the same time, there wouldn't be this huge demand crunch for this thing. This is it, Grand Floridian, second floor. All right, onward to the next location. I think you all can pretty much figure out where we're heading here. It's definitely not the Contemporary, and it wasn't the Polynesian. What could it be? This is one of my favorite segments of the walk over to Magic Kingdom and the Contemporary, is this segment between Grand Floridian and Magic Kingdom and Contemporary. This is just beautiful through here. Most people here don't know there's two other locations that they're purposely keeping closed to keep demand and the pricing high. And people can come back all day long and say, oh, that's not what it is. Bull crap. It's exactly what it is. They don't have to pay employees to run those shops, and they can keep one shop open, keep demand high, and send the price through the roof. Kind of basic economics if you think about it. Here we are back at the most popular theme park in the world. And here we are, the one and only operating location of the Better Business Bureau, or I'm sorry, Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. So to find this location, we're going to head directly towards the castle, and if we can, we'll go through the castle. If not, we'll go off to the left-hand side. It looks like we might have timed this just right. They're still letting people go through the castle. And I know before Happily Ever After, I think it's like an hour and a half or so before they close all this down, so they can get all the fireworks prep ready. But it's open. We'll take advantage of this. This is a pretty cool display of what they call forced perspective architecture. I think the higher it goes, the smaller the bricks and windows get to give you the illusion of something that's really tall. One thing that is beautiful with this castle are these mosaics here. These are all hand-laid, which tells the story of the one, the only Cinderella. So right here in the midst of this parking garage of strollers here is the third location The only one operational. There are a lot of families in there waiting right now. Every now and then, when they do have availability, they'll put a sign out here that says walk-ins welcome. Check within, but not today. It's way too busy. This is it. This is the one and only location that is operational. This is the one location that everybody fights over when those when their 60-day mark for planning comes due. But all of these strollers are here for either the Cinderella's Royal Table or the Bibbidi Bobbidi. And so, you know, as they say, when in Rome, while we're here, let's check out Cinderella's Royal Table. So right up there where you see the glass windows, that is Cinderella's Royal Table restaurant. And you enter in right down here. You see the sign right there. And there's the doorway in, and here are the menus. So you can get breakfast, lunch, and dinner here if you want the cheapest of the three. Breakfast. I mean, the thing is, for the money, it's really not anything special. I mean, it's decent, but for the money that it's going to cost to eat in here, you're blowing past Michelin star prices. Down here, you can see there's not a very high capacity at all. So just to give you an idea, because we're talking about the Bibbidi Bobbidi pricing and everything else here, this is, as of January 2025, the prices for Cinderella's Royal Table at Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom are, for breakfast, $74 for adults, and $45 for kids ages 3 through 9. So any kid over 9, $74. Lunch and dinner, $88 for adults, $52 for children, 3 through 9. So if your kids are over 9, it's $88 a piece. And that has to be paid all at once when you book your dining reservation. It's not like the other restaurants where you can pay it late. You make the reservation basically, and they, use a credit card in case you don't show up. They charge you $25 or whatever. But here at Cinderella's Royal Table, you book that reservation, even if it's 60 days out, you pay the entire sum up front. Yeah, so again, family of 4, if they're all over 9, 88 times 4, add tax and gratuity. You don't need me to do the math for you. That's a big number. You're closing in on $500 for a dinner in the castle. It's crazy expensive. And like I said, for that kind of food, you're past Michelin star prices. I could go down to Gordon Ramsay's Hell's Kitchen restaurant down in Miami and have the beef Wellington for a fraction of those prices. One of these days I'd like to try it, maybe breakfast, but it's just, I have a hard time getting over that cost. I mean, just for me, if I were to book myself a breakfast there, $74 plus tax and gratuity, stare at a $120 bill straight in the face all day long. Just for me, for breakfast. That's insane. So yeah, when you see people talking about the Bibbidy Bobbidy Boutique and then trying to do Cinderella's Royal Table, that's they got over $1,000 wrapped up just in the two of them if it's a family of four. Again, not including your park admission and not including any other extras like getting here, flights, hotels, anything else. Just that. It's wild. Well, I believe that is it. I think we'll head back through the castle and head back down Main Street, USA. But that, ladies and gents, is all of the Bibbidi Bobbidi locations. There are 3 of them, but of which only one is being utilized for maximum profit. I mean, even the price is not as frustrating as just the lack of availability. As I've said before, it doesn't have to be that way. They do it on purpose to keep demand high and the supply low. There's no other reason that they would leave those other 2 locations, of which are relatively large, each one, that they would leave those closed. Now, before we head out, let's take on the Pirates of the Caribbean. 10 minutes. Why not?
Prepare to make sail. Bienvenidos a bordo. Para su seguridad, permanezcan sentados con las manos, brazos, pies y piernas dentro del barco y cuiden a los niños.
What may I offer for these hearty heads? Everyone an egg layer.
Not less than me laying golden eggs.
Hey there, you bilge rat.
Oh, quit your clucking. The gentlemen want the rum. Don't you, boy?
No, ma'am. They still want the redhead. This had better be expressy. Well, there you have it, ladies and gents. All 3, the Bibbidi Bobbidi locations. So next time you're at Disney World and you're at any one of those locations, just take a look. Once you see them, it's hard to not see them. I get irritated at some of the stuff that goes on now post 2020. And again, I know I hammer on Disney a lot, but they seem to be the ones that are probably the worst at some of the shenanigans that they've pulled after 2020. SeaWorld can get up there as well with some of the extra charges they've added as well, but Disney's by far the worst. It just sucks. I mean, they really dug into people's experience, and it's not the same. You know, I've mentioned it many times. I truly feel bad for people that are visiting Disney World for the very first time now versus anybody that had their first visit before 2020 or, you know, even before 2000. Like, the parks have really changed, and not in a good way. And so it's just, like I said, I kept seeing these posts, and you see them like every day on that site, and they're just people disappointed that they can't get this. And the only reason they can't get it is because Disney chooses to keep it at a premium, you know. And if they had all 3 locations open, they would have no issues getting people in and out of there, and getting everybody that experience, especially that one at Disney Springs. I mean, so many people arrive at Disney Springs, you know, as they're starting their vacation, you know, or they may go to Disney Springs before they head to the parks for the day. There's just a million different ways to make this happen, and I wish they would quit screwing around and reopen those locations, you know, so they can help people. You know, always talk about having a magical trip. Well, open the damn locations up so people can have a magical trip instead of putting a artificial supply and demand out there. So that's that. We'll see y'all on the next one. Have a good afternoon, good evening. It is chilly. Man, that sun went down and that temperature dropped fast. I'll see y'all the next one. Firemedic Adventures is out. This has been the truth, and it has been actual. And I don't know for any watching if it was satisfaction or not, but hey, we pointed out that there are 3, not 1, but 3 Bibbidi Bobbidi locations across Walt Disney World, but only 1 operating. Hope it was all satisfaction for y'all. I'll see you.